members. My name is Shrey Sinha. As Maria mentioned, I'll be giving my first icebreaker speech today. The title is ESPN, Each Sport Provides a New Beginning. And what I hope to relay through this speech is that I went through a lot of transitions in life, so has everyone else, and whether it be geographical, or just different stages in life, sports has helped me through these different stages, and hopefully my speech relays what this helpful aspect was. So I'm going to start off by providing a brief geographical background from where I'm from. I was born in India in a small town called Jamshedpur, and I lived there for the first 7 years of my life, after which a transition in my life came where I moved from that continent to North America, to the United States. This was a really big transition for me, and this was at the age of 7 years old. After I made this transition for about 1.5 years, I made a couple more transitions within America. I moved into a hotel in North Jersey for about a couple of months, maybe like 1 or 2 months. And then I moved to North Carolina for about 6 months. And then I moved to Connecticut for about 9 months. So give or take, between a span of 2 years, I moved around quite a lot from new continent to different states within the continent. Moreover, I progressed to, after my second grade, I moved to Edison, New Jersey. So Edison, New Jersey was more of a semi-permanent, location for my family. And this is where, before I actually moved, I was introduced to sports. So my dad thought it would be a great way for me to, spend some time outside the house, get some exercise, moreover, learn some American pastime, which is baseball. So he enrolled me into Little League baseball, Edison Boys Little League. And mind you, I had no idea what this sport was. Okay, I'm familiar with cricket. I'm sure you've heard of cricket. It's an Indian sport, and I'm like, hey, it can't be too different. It's completely wrong. Okay, so different rules, different standards, different ways to play it. And when I first got there, I was very intimidated. New people, new sports. My dad didn't know anything about the sport, so he couldn't provide any feedback. And the great thing about this was my teammates were so helpful. They were so patient, and they were so giving that it just made me feel like, even though I was the worst player, worst kid, new kid, it made me feel really really at home, and took the time to just talk me through the game, teach me the rules. And what this helped me do was, just become more comfortable right off the bat. I'm in a new state, new house, about to enter a new school, and I'm trying a new sport for my first time, and they're going out of their way to make me feel really, really comfortable, whereas I didn't know anything about this. And moreover, what happened was, not only did I start making friends with my own team, we played opposing teams. And the great thing about Little League is, I think the best thing about Little League is that after games, you get snacks. Snacks and drinks. So this was my favorite part, and I'm pretty sure it was my team's favorite part. So one day, after one of our, this was an evening game, and there was another team playing before us. So it was the last out. There's 2 outs, and a kid, a batter, who ended up being one of my closest friends in elementary school, was batting, and it was a close game. I think it was like 3-2. There was a person on second base, and he was the last person who could have drove the run in. And what happened was he actually ended up striking out. And you think as an athlete and as a player, you'd be kind of distraught. You're the last person to get the run in. But again, at that age, all we cared about were snacks and drinks. So what do? After he struck out, didn't look down, just ran out to get his snack and his drink. And I was right next to him, and I'm like, I just made some kind of comment, kind of like, hey, at least you got the Doritos, right? And right then and there, we clicked. He's like, yeah, I'm not that great at baseball. I'm like, hey, no worries, man. I just started playing baseball myself. I don't know the rules. And just based off that small interaction, I never knew if I would see this kid again. So it felt really good to meet that small interaction and that connection through sports, and not really know where it would pan out, but just make that interaction. And how this helped me was, once I started the 3rd grade, which was maybe like 2 months down the line, first 2 classes, I'm a very shy kid, a little introverted, so I'm not exactly the person to approach people and start a conversation. So the first 2 classes I had, just kind of sat back, just scoped out the environment, just listened to a few people talk. And the third class I went to, I saw a familiar face, and it was Sam, the person I saw batting. I approached him, I'm like, hey man, did you get any better at your swing? It's just very friendly, and right off the bat, we continued that bond that we kind of created on that field. And not only was I able to make friends with Sam introduced me to all of his other friends, which helped me really, transition to 3rd grade, this new elementary school in this new town a lot easier. So I continued to play baseball up until 7th grade, which is when, again, I moved and my family moved. We moved to where we currently live, which is Plattsburgh, New Jersey. And this was actually in the middle of my 7th grade, so I didn't really have the opportunity to start off fresh, like when you're entering 7th grade, to start off sport. So when I entered there, it was a little intimidating. Again, new place, new people, new school, and just having to go through that process again of making new friends. So initially what happened was I wasn't taking the bus. My parents would drive me to school. And what happened was the first day, again, a couple of classes, didn't know anyone. Obviously I didn't know anyone in the new school system. Come my language arts class, I actually met a friend who was from Edison. And I'm like, oh wow, what are you doing here? Like, this is such a coincidence. And he's like, yeah, I moved a couple of weeks back. I moved around here. And we had that slight conversation about past school and certain activities in schools and teachers. And then I kind of just brought up, hey, where do you live? And he mentioned, oh, I live in Grover's Mill Road. Again, I'm new to this place, new to this town, I don't know what roads mean. And he's like, yeah, it's a big housing development, a bunch of houses, and there's like circles at the end, or cul-de-sacs. We just call them circles at the end. I'm like, that sounds vaguely familiar. Kind of seems like what my house sounds like, where my house is. But I didn't put any thought to it. As I mentioned, I was being driven to school as opposed to taking the bus. So about 4 days down the line, I actually take the bus, and to my surprise, he's on my bus. So first it was a coincidence that he also moved to the same school district, but now he's living in the same housing complex. So once he saw me, he mentioned, hey, why don't you come down? I'm going to shoot some few hoops after school, so we could hang out. And I said, hey, that's a great idea. I'm not doing anything. I just watch cartoons or play video games anyways. So this is a great time for me to get out, get some exercise. And what this led to was another great moment for my middle school era was instead of just us shooting a few hoops, he invited a few more friends from around the development. And what this did was I got to be introduced to other people around the housing development, so that way I have friends that I can play with outside. Not only that, some of these students or kids were also students and were in my class. So when I went back to school, now I have a few more familiar faces that I can talk to in class. So this this instance was a lot. It was really helpful in transitioning me from where I was, Edison, to now this new middle school in Plainsboro. Moreover, within 1.5 years, I was transitioning from middle school to high school. Now, thank God my family didn't move, because again, I don't want to deal with all that change. However, transition from middle school to high school is somewhat more monumental. Not only through because you're going to maturity, but again, you're interacting with a bigger class size. You're being exposed to new or more academic aspects of school. Whereas previously you were just doing a little bit of assignments and homeworks and getting away with it. So what I decided was, right before our middle school commencement, a couple of the high school coaches came down to our school and mentioned some summer programs. That we can partake in, such as football. So this was a sport that I chose, and I thought it was a great choice because there's no baseball available, there's no basketball available. The only problem was, I had no idea what football was either. I've seen people toss around the ball a couple of times. I've seen it on TV, but I've never actually played the sport. So again, I didn't know what I was getting into, and when I came to the actual practice, the summer program, you see the stereotypical athletes that go out for sporting events like this, like athletes, jocks, popular kids. And here's me, and I was a very slender kid. I've gained some pounds since then, but I was a really slim kid, and at that point, I felt kind of out of the loop, I just felt different from everyone else. Gladly, right after our first practice, we did something called a snake run, where you run across the yard lines, all the yard lines of the football field. And it's a very challenging task, and after which you're completely exhausted, you've lost all energy. And during this time, luckily, I found the only other Indian kid who tried out for the freshman football team. And he was right next to me. He was a bit of a chunky guy, so he had some troubles as well. And he was completely exhausted, and we were both like, man, that snake run was a killer. Wow, I think I'm going to quit right now. And just I think the fact that we were Indian, we were both not the stereotypical persons to try for a football team, created a bond for us just like that. And right then, because I was able to gain that friendship, it helped me make friends with other football players a lot more easier now that I had one friend on the team. And how this helped me was then when freshman year started, not only were you exposed to the freshman team, we were exposed to the varsity team as well as the JV team. So we knew a lot more people coming into football, or coming into the first day of school. I'm going to wrap it up. So basically,
you had to do that. That was right.
I have a lot of transitions in life, geographically or just going through stages in my academic world. And what I gained from it is I tried to approach it in a way to try out activities such as sports, which helped me network and build friendships, which would make that transition a lot more